More than 3 years had passed since the man had fallen into a coma, yet every nurse assigned to care for him became pregnant after a short time, one after another. The supervising physician was utterly baffled. But when he secretly decided to install a hidden camera inside the patient's room to find out what was really happening during his absence, what he saw terrified him enough to call the police immediately. At first, Dr. Rafael Mendoza dismissed it as mere coincidence. Pregnancies among nurses were not unusual. Hospitals are places where death and life coexist, and many seek comfort wherever they can find it. But when the second nurse assigned to care for Adrian Santos reported her pregnancy, then the third, Rafael began to feel the foundations of his rational world begin to shake. Adrian Santos had been in a coma for more than 3 years, a 29-year-old firefighter who collapsed after falling from a burning building while rescuing civilians in Manila. His case had become a silent tragedy among the staff at San Isidro Medical Center. A young man with calm features and old scars across his face, he had never once regained consciousness. Every year on his birthday, his family sent flowers. The nurses always said how peaceful he looked, but no one expected anything beyond silence. Until a strange pattern began to emerge. Every nurse who became pregnant had been assigned to Adrian's long-term care. All of them worked the night shift, room 312B, and all of them insisted that there was no relationship in their lives that could explain the pregnancy. Some were married, some were not. But confusion, shame, and fear united them all. At first, rumors spread unchecked through the hospital. Absurd theories, hormonal reactions, medication errors, even some form of environmental contamination. Yet Rafael found no logical explanation. All of Adrian's tests were normal: stable vital signs, minimal brain activity, no bodily movement. And yet, the coincidences kept piling up. When the fifth nurse, a quiet woman named Nina Verma, entered his office in tears, holding a positive test and swearing that she had not been involved with anyone for months, his certainties finally began to crumble. Hospital administration demanded answers. The media began to sense a story, and the nurses pleaded to be transferred away from Adrian's room. That was when Rafael made the decision that would change everything. On a Friday afternoon, after the last nurse's shift had ended, he entered room 312B alone. The air was saturated with disinfectant, mixed with a faint hint of lavender. Adrian lay as he always did, still, while the machines beside the bed emitted their steady hum. Rafael installed a small camera inside the ventilation fan aimed directly at the bed. He started recording, then left the room, his heart heavy with a fear he had never known before. The hours passed slowly. In the monitoring room, he sat staring at the screen. Nothing. Silence. Then, just before dawn, everything changed. The body did not rise, but the monitors shifted slightly. The pulse increased. Breathing became irregular. Moments later, the fingers of one hand contracted, as if responding to something unseen. Rafael stood up abruptly. This was not awakening. It was response. Minutes later, the nurse on duty entered the room. The screen showed nothing explicit, but what appeared was enough to freeze the blood in his veins. A change in the body's pattern whenever someone approached, precise neural responses, directed contractions, and a physical interaction that was unconscious yet not random. In the morning, the recordings were reviewed through a more precise scientific lens. Brain activity was re-examined, revealing that Adrian was not in a traditional coma, but in a rare condition in which conscious awareness is separated from certain primitive neural circuits. No awareness, no will, yet remnants of complex responses had not been fully extinguished. A cold scientific truth and a terrifying one. Still, science alone was not enough. Repeated pregnancies in the room of an unconscious patient, regardless of the explanation, meant a grave failure in protective procedures. Raphael himself called the police. Room 312B was closed, night shifts were temporarily suspended, recordings were confiscated, and a comprehensive investigation began, exposing long-standing lapses in oversight and a dangerous assumption that silence meant safety. Adrian was transferred to a specialized facility. He did not awaken. He did not speak. But he was never left alone again. As for the hospital, it faced lawsuits, resignations, and a complete restructuring. And Raphael, whenever he walked the quiet night corridors, was haunted by a question with no answer. How many silent patients had we assumed were absent when they were somehow present?